Why do smart people overthink so much? So oftentimes the smartest people have the hardest time making decisions, and they tend to overthink and overthink and overthink. And why does this happen? There's actually a good reason for this psychologically. So when we are considering someone as smart, this typically means that they have the type of intelligence that we value currently in our society, which is that like cognitive intelligence. And that means that they typically have a left brain dominance, which means that they're very verbal, they're very logical, and this is the part of the brain that they use the most. And what happens with this is that they typically overuse this part of the mind, and then they are completely out of touch with the emotional part of the brain. And so we don't have that kind of right brain utilization that's needed to actually make decisions, because we actually need emotions to make decisions. There's a famous case in psychology of an individual that actually had the emotional part of the brain injured. And everybody thought, every single scientist involved in this case thought, oh my goodness, this person will wake up and he will be the most logical person. He will just go out into the world. He will get things done. It will be amazing because he won't be hindered by emotion like the rest of us. What actually happened is that this individual woke up, the individual that had the emotional centers in the brain essentially injured to the point where they were non-functional. He woke up, he was healed, he's completely healthy, and all he did was he just sat there in a chair. He's just sat there because he didn't even have the emotions to drive him, to motivate him to get out of the chair. And once you know this story, you realize that emotions are what drive our decision making. Because without emotions, we don't have values, and we could think in endless loops forever. Like literally forever. And probably that's what this individual was doing. He was probably sitting there weighing the options of sitting in the chair versus getting out of the chair. And unless you have some type of emotional value system, you could argue that forever. There's equal benefits to sitting in the chair, and there's equal benefits to getting out of the chair if you don't have emotions. And so this is why oftentimes extremely intelligent people, they overthink to the point where that they can't make any decisions because they're completely out of touch from the emotional aspect of the mind. And they have this kind of lateralization in the brain in which they're completely overusing the left part of the brain. And they often have this experience where it's like, I just don't know. Like, I have no idea because I could argue it forever. And it's a very difficult way to live because you just are missing out on essentially half of the human experience. And if this is you, then this is something that can be retrained. I encourage you to book an intro session. We can chat a little bit more about your particular case. But this is not necessarily like a normal thing. And I think we have normalized it in our society, in which people have become more and more left-brained, in which they're extremely logical and they're rewarded for this. But it typically results in a very kind of dissatisfactory experience of life. And it could be better. Like, it could be better, you could make decisions faster, and emotions are actually extremely important data points in making decisions. And if you're missing out on those data points, you're not making the most accurate decisions.